It was the 15th century. In a Europe still fragmented by wars, court intrigues, and deep tensions between kingdoms, one of the greatest mysteries of the Christian faith began to take root in the heart of a young Portuguese woman. It was a time when the dogma of the Immaculate Conception had not yet been proclaimed, but devotion to Mary was flourishing in souls chosen by God. Among them was Beatrice de Silva, a young noblewoman. With her unparalleled beauty and virtue, Beatrice was destined to be a divine instrument. However, for her mission to be fulfilled, she would have to face deadly jealousy, humiliation, and years of trials in silence and prayer. Little did she know that the light of the Immaculate Mary would guide her through a path of miracles and redemption, transforming her life into a story that would endure through the centuries. Beatriz was born in 1424 in the quiet town of Campo Maior, Portugal. From a young age, she stood out for her serenity and piety, traits that seemed out of place amidst the turbulence of the era. The daughter of a noble family with ties to the Portuguese royalty, Beatriz grew up surrounded by luxury, but always demonstrated a humble and generous heart. She was educated by the Franciscans. From an early age, the girl learned to love prayer and devote herself to Our Lady. Her eyes sparkled with hope whenever she heard stories about the Mother of God. There was something about Mary that profoundly captivated Beatriz's heart. She would often repeat in her prayers, "One day, Most Holy Mother, the whole world will recognize your immaculate purity." This devotion would become the guiding thread of her life. In her youth, Beatriz accompanied her cousin, Dona Isabel of Portugal, who married King John II of Castile and became the Queen of Castile. Beatriz became a lady-in-waiting at the court, where her presence quickly stood out. The young woman was a living portrait of grace and virtue. Her beauty was not merely physical, it reflected an inner purity that captivated everyone around her. At court, however, intrigue and envy were constant. Beatrice, with her natural charisma, drew admiration from many, which stirred jealousy in Queen Isabel herself. Initially, the Queen appreciated Beatrice's company and even took pride in the attention the young woman received. However, over time, jealousy poisoned the Queen's heart. The Queen's envy culminated in an unexpected act of cruelty. One silent night, consumed by blind rage, Isabel lured Beatrice to the palace's underground chambers, where a chest used to store valuable items was kept. In an act of desperation, she locked Beatrice inside, leaving her on the brink of death by suffocation. In the darkness, Beatrice entrusted her soul to God. She forgave the Queen in an act of extraordinary humility and resignation, surrendering to what she believed to be her inevitable fate. Yet, when all seemed lost, a radiant light filled the chest. Before her appeared the Virgin Mary, dressed in a white habit and a sky-blue mantle, holding the child Jesus in her arms. Mary spoke with tenderness, yet with authority. "My daughter, do you see the habit I'm wearing? Very well, in 3 days you will be free from this confinement, and you will found a religious order in honor of my Immaculate Conception." Beatrice, her heart overflowing with peace, felt her strength renewed and awaited her release, certain that God had a greater purpose for her life. After 3 days of anguish, Beatrice's absence was noticed at court. Her uncle, Dom Juan de Menezes, demanded an explanation from the Queen. Reluctantly, Isabel led him to the chest, expecting to find only the remains of her lady-in-waiting. However, upon opening the chest, everyone was astonished. Beatrice was alive, her face serene and illuminated by a heavenly aura. Terrified, the Queen granted Beatrice permission to leave the court. Grateful for her new chance at life, Beatrice decided to dedicate herself entirely to God. She went to the monastery of Saint Dominic in Toledo, where she began a long journey of prayer and contemplation. To avoid distractions, she covered her face with a veil, hiding the beauty so admired by many. In the monastery, Beatrice immersed herself in silence and prayer. For more than 30 years, she patiently awaited the moment to fulfill the mission entrusted to her by Our Lady. Her faith remained unshaken, even in the face of God's apparent silence. During this time, Beatrice became a model of humility and perseverance for the sisters of the monastery. Then decades later, Mary appeared to Beatrice again, instructing her to begin the foundation of a new religious order dedicated to the Immaculate Conception. This calling was met with joy and renewed determination. With the support of Queen Isabella, known as Isabella the Catholic, Beatrice began preparations to establish the order. In 1484, accompanied by 12 companions, she began monastic life in the Palacios de Galiana in Toledo, which had been adapted to serve as the first convent for the Conceptionist nuns. The sisters wore the habit described in Beatrice's vision, white with a sky-blue mantle. Under Beatrice's guidance, the sisters devoted their lives to prayer and penance. At the age of 67, Beatrice received a third and final visit from Our Lady. Mary announced that in 10 days her soul would be taken to paradise. Concerned for the future of the order, Beatrice entrusted it to the protection of the Franciscans, defenders of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. On August 9, 1491, Beatrice passed on to her heavenly home. Even on her deathbed, her face radiated a heavenly light. This miraculous sign was witnessed by her sisters and the priests present, filling everyone with hope and reverence. The story of Saint Beatrice is a profound invitation to reflect on universal themes of faith, such as trust in God, forgiveness, patience, and perseverance. Beatrice faced jealousy, injustice, and even an attempt on her life, yet she never allowed hatred or resentment to poison her heart. She not only forgave Queen Isabella for her cruelty, but also interceded for her in prayer. This act of love is a clear example that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, but of spiritual strength. How often in our lives are we challenged to forgive those who have hurt us? Saint Beatrice shows us that through forgiveness we find freedom and peace. Her life, marked by beauty, virtue, and devotion, teaches us that even in the most difficult and seemingly hopeless situations, God works in surprising and loving ways. Another striking aspect of her life is her patience in the face of God's delays. Beatrice spent over 30 years in prayer and silence, waiting for the right moment to fulfill her mission. In an era where everything feels so immediate, her active waiting teaches us to fully trust in God's timing. He is never late, even though to our human eyes it may seem that everything is taking too long. Saint Beatrice inspires us to cultivate patience, prayer, and perseverance as we await God's promises in our lives. Her life also teaches us about total surrender to God. She gave up luxury, vanity, and even the attention her beauty attracted, covering her face with a veil to avoid becoming a distraction to others. In a world so focused on appearances, Beatrice invites us to look beyond the superficial and value what truly matters: the beauty of the soul, humility, and communion with God. Finally, her devotion to the Immaculate Conception of Mary is a testament to her anticipatory faith. Beatrice championed the dogma 400 years before its official proclamation by the Church, revealing her deep alignment with the heart of God. Her trust in Mary as a model of purity and holiness is a call for us, like Beatrice, to seek refuge under the mantle of Our Lady, trusting that she will guide us through all circumstances. The prayer to Saint Beatrice reflects her key teachings and virtues, asking for her intercession so that we may live with patience, forgiveness, and courage in the face of challenges. Prayer to Saint Beatrice. Saint Beatrice, example of faith and humility, who trusted fully in God's plans, teach us to wait patiently for divine delays and never lose hope amidst difficulties. You, who were unjustly persecuted but chose the path of forgiveness and peace, help us to forgive those who hurt us, and to live with a pure and reconciled heart. Saint Beatrice, devoted to the Immaculate Conception of Mary, guide us so that we may honor Our Lady in our words and actions, always trusting in her powerful intercession. Intercede for us, that we may be strengthened in our faith, steadfast in prayer, and courageous in fulfilling the mission God entrusts to us. May your light and example help us seek true holiness and follow in the footsteps of Jesus Christ with humility and love. Amen. Saint Beatrice leaves us an unforgettable example of faith, patience, and courage. Her life teaches us that, even in the face of the greatest adversities, trusting in God's plans can transform suffering into blessings. She lived to bear witness to the love of the Immaculate Mary, forgave her enemies, and waited patiently for God's timing. May her story inspire each of us to live with more hope, faith, and devotion. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel Journey of the Saints, Sacred Stories, share this video, and leave a like. Now we want to hear from you. What lesson from Saint Beatrice touched your heart the most? Leave your answer in the comments. And before you go, check out one of the videos above, specially chosen for you. I'm sure it will be another moving and insightful story. God bless you.